My channel, Useless Skills, Wilson here. So it's November 13th or 14th or 15th or whatever. You have your Xbox Series X or your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox Series X, S, and you're wondering, okay, I have these consoles, I have my Xbox Game Pass, or I have my PlayStation Now account, and I'm ready to play all these games all now, but I can't seem to download more than 3 games. This thing is full now. What's going on? Well, that's because storage is very, very important to the next-gen console. So in this video, I'm going to go over the best that I can, the differences between HDD hard drives, external hard drives, and SDD, external solid-state drives. So you know the difference, what your console needs, and hopefully you'll be able to, get the right equipment for when your console for when your console needs more memory. So, we're going to go with the PlayStation 5 first. They're both the new next-gen consoles, or Microsoft and Sony are going for a little bit of a different approach, I would say. Both have its pros, and both has its cons. I'm going to go over both the pros and the cons for each. So we're starting with the PlayStation 5. So the PlayStation 5 does not have its own proprietary SSD memory for itself. So basically, there's no Sony branded memory card out there that you can buy for the PlayStation 5 right now. But they do have specific requirements as to which memory can go into the PlayStation 5, which solid state drive can go into the PlayStation 5, so that you're able to use the solid state to the best. Basically use the PlayStation 5's memory to the best of its ability. So first, let's go over the differences between the HDD and the SSD. So that's where we go over here. So these are external hard drives. You'll see them, and you'll more or less get a gist of. Hard drives are a little bit cheaper than solid state drives, so you'll know more or less as you're buying them which one you're getting. So, for example, we have the Seagate here, external hard drives. You'll see you have this one's 500 gigabytes for less than $100. We have a 4 terabyte for less than $100. 4 terabyte external hard drive. This Seagate expansion is 16 terabytes for $294. And as you know, the solid state drive, the same one, Seagate, for Microsoft, if you go to the Microsoft store, is $220, and that's just 1 terabyte. So as you could tell, the differences are really, really big in pricing and as far as memory. So even though, yes, the external hard drive here has 16 gigabytes, and it's almost the same price as this proprietary Xbox, memory, which is 1 terabyte, the performance is really the difference in both of these things, okay? So here you can see a Seagate external hard drive, 5 terabyte, and it's about $115 on Amazon, right? So now you're looking at a 1 terabyte external solid state drive, Seagate Barracuda, for $160. So already more than the 5 terabyte external hard drive, even though it's only 1 terabyte. So you're going to see those kinds of differences in this type of memory as you're buying it, so you'll know which one you're getting. Now, that's not to say you can't use external hard drives for the next-gen consoles. You can, but we're going to go over why you shouldn't, or why you can in certain situations. So now, solid-state drives, these drives, are different. They're different looking, a lot of them. Some of them do seem similar, like the Samsung portable SSD looks a lot like an external hard drive, but it's not. But yeah, so the solid state drives, they're just slightly different. So here is SSD faster than external HDD. It's up to 25 times faster than an external hard drive. So an SSD, a solid state drive, is up to 25 times faster than an external hard drive. It's shock resistant, doesn't contain rotating parts. It's more compact, it's lighter, it's just better, basically. And that's why a lot of people, or a lot of consoles now, use SSDs more than HDDs, because it's better performance. It gives you better performance as far as your console for speed, and it lasts longer. So that's the basic difference between HDD and SSD. But really, you're going to see them in the pricing. So let's go to the PlayStation 5 teardown, which I've always wanted to do a video about this. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I do love, God, I love this man's teardown of this beautiful console. So this is the VP, I'm gonna butcher his name, Yasuhiro Uturi. I'm gonna say that, Yasuhiro Uturi. He's the VP of the mechanical design department, the hardware design division in Sony. So he basically helped build this PlayStation 5 that he's now about to break apart into pieces. I'm going to skip around a little bit. All right, so there's a USB port, and then you have the USB Type-C. So you have the Type-A and the Type-C. So if you have an external hard drive, you could connect it to those. Then they have two more USB Type-A ports in the back, again, for you can connect external hard drives. A LAN port, an HDMI out port for the, connecting to the screen, and then an AC in, that's basically the power. It has air vents on the side, more air vents in the back. It's a beautiful looking console. The stand comes off. You can put it on the side. It has its own little thing. You can put the stand away. It's really cool. You could clip the stand on the side and then put the console on its side. It's really... This video, like, you guys should go check out this video. It's great. Okay. You can take out the side panels. So this is the part that's a little bit important, because in order for you to get to the slot for the SSD, once you buy an SSD to put it into the console, you do have to take out these side panels, as you just saw here. Okay, so right after, there's like a little gray slot. You just unscrew the cap, and then there you could put your SSD. Depending on the size, they have different size differences as well. So it's going to go right in here, right? So the external SSD drive looks like this. Well, it's not external. In this case, it's going to be internal. But it looks like this. It's going to look something like this, and that's where it's going to go perfectly into here. So there's different sizes, different compatible ones. So like I said, Sony's approach to this is very different than Microsoft's, but we'll talk about it. But basically, you can get, right now, there are PS5 compatible SSD drives that have already been announced. So basically, Sony has released a guide as to what type of NVMe SSD drives you can put into their console. And people have already compiled a list, all right? And this is the list right now so far as to which are the NVMe SSDs that can go into the PlayStation 5. So the cheapest one is a 500 gigabyte one, NVMe SSD drive, from Western Digital for $150. And then they have a 1 terabyte for $230, and they have a 2 terabyte for $450. So basically, these, again, is on top of the cost of the console. So you have to really take this stuff into consideration. So ultimately, because this is just Western Digital's version, Samsung will have a version, a lot. Like if you go, let's go directly to Amazon real quick. For the PS5. So you'll have a Samsung one, I'm sure there'll be a Seagate one, a SanDisk one, Western Digital already has one. So there's a lot of different companies that create SSDs, or that are in the SSD market. So you're going to see a lot of different SSDs coming from different creators, just to make it, even just for the PlayStation 5, because I know people are going to be clamoring for stuff like that. So that's going to bring the cost down a little bit. Right now, like I said, the only one that has it is Western Digital, the only one that they have found that is compatible with the PlayStation 5. So the PlayStation 5 said, we need, if you want the NVMe SSD to work basically to the best of its ability, you'd have to get one that is this specific type of NVMe, right? PCLE Gen 4 M.2 NVMe SSD. And that's what Western Digital has here. So basically, if you want 1 terabyte like the Xbox one that has the Seagate one, that's $220, you would have to pay, let's say, 2 500 ones or $150 each, which would be more. and then you'd get the 1 terabyte one, which again is 230, which is a little bit more than the Xbox One. But again, this is right now. So this is expected to drop relatively soonish. I would say by the end of this year to the beginning of next year, there will be a lot of different NVMe drives for the PlayStation 5 from different companies, which will bring the cost down because each one's going to compete with the other to bring the cost down. So I'm assuming that the 1 terabyte that's right now 230 might be down to 200, maybe even 190 or 180 around there by like hopefully Christmas time. I doubt it, but I'd say maybe like January, February of next year. It'll be down a lot. So that's why this is the pro about this. The con about these kind of drives is, unless you watch a video like mine or others explaining, or go to an article specifically explaining the drive that you need for the PlayStation 5, there are people that are just going to go out and buy SSDs that are not going to be compatible with their PlayStation 5s, and they're going to mess up their games or their gaming experience. Might even mess up their PlayStation 5s because they don't know, which ones to buy, and they're just like, oh, this one says it could be compatible with the PS5, so let me just do it, instead of doing any research into if it will or won't. So that's the only con, I would say. It's not that big of a con. I would say a lot of people who don't do their research kind of deserve stuff like that to happen, because, there's a plethora of information now available on the internet. So I would say before you go out and buy something, even anything, I would say even anything, this is what I usually do, is I just go online real quick and do a quick Google search into, what the best version of this is, the cheapest version, if I'm looking to budget, the best version, and it might be expensive if I'm looking for just the best one, so that I don't have to buy more or another one in 3 months down the road. So I would say always do a quick Google search to verify what you're gonna go get. Even if it's something you got before, there might be something that's better or that they've improved upon, and you're still buying basically the earlier model or the not so good model, and you can be getting a better version of it if you just do a quick Google search and see what's out there. So I would say always do your research when buying things, because you might mess up something that you just paid $500 for. So yeah, that's the only real con about this, is that people are going to go out in droves. It happens all the time for mostly every generation. People go out in droves, buy something that's not compatible with their console, and either mess up their console or mess up their memory or mess up their saves. A lot of stuff happens. So that's the only real con. The pro is that it's very consumer friendly, because again, it's going to bring the cost down. A lot of different companies are going to be able to make it very easily, NVMe SSD drive for the PlayStation 5, and they're going to be available pretty much everywhere. Now, the Xbox's proprietary drive, the Seagate expansion, this one is the only one right now that's available specifically, and probably will be available at launch for a little while, only for the Xbox. So this is the solid state drive. This is what they decided to build or make specifically for this Xbox, Series X and S. So you're not going to find this to plug into a computer. You're not going to find it for a laptop, for anything else. This is only for the Xbox Series X and an S. And it's basically, because it's proprietary, basically it's made specifically for this. Other companies like Western Digital, if they want to make this version of it for the Xbox Series X and S, they'd have to pay Microsoft a licensing fee to basically create the exact parameters for their device. So that's another way that Microsoft's going to make money, but it'll drive up the cost of this expansion card. So let's say this expansion card is $220 from Seagate, because they're probably getting a little bit of extra money. Basically, they're making up costs from having to pay Microsoft for the proprietary licensing fee, which basically is making it fit into their console, because SSDs don't usually look like this. So, but the pro for this is that because you can only get this SSD for the Xbox Series X, you're not going to really have people going out and getting SSDs that don't fit or don't match this console. So that's really the only pro, is that you can only get this one or versions of this one that might come out in the future but they might be more expensive, which is the con. But you'll know you're getting the right one for the right console, because there's no other SSD drive that looks like this, right? So that's basically what the only pro of it that I feel it has. The cons, like I said, it's expensive. Cost is probably not going to go down because the companies, Western Digital and other companies, Samsung or whoever wants to make external SSD drives for the Xbox Series X and S, are gonna have to pay licensing fee for the device, basically to make that kind of device specifically. To Microsoft, and in order to pay that fee off with the cost of making the device, they're going to push it on the consumer so that they can make a profit, which is understandable, but that means that it's not going to go down for a long time, the price of the external drive. Now, as Microsoft pushes towards, hopefully the more xCloud and streaming, you're not really going to need a lot of storage on your actual device. Hopefully you can play everything from the cloud and keep all of the storage in the cloud. But right now, you need the memory on your console, and it's expensive. So, yeah. So now this is an article talking about not to waste your time on a on the expensive proprietary SSD, right? At least for backward compatibility games. So, and as information continues to trickle out about next-gen consoles, we keep getting new pieces of the puzzle that inform our purchasing decisions. Here's a relatively niche one from Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry, I don't know if you guys know, they have a YouTube. You should go check it out. They do great stuff, and they really go over consoles with a fine-tooth comb. So really, you should check them out. Anyway, Digital Foundry, that's going to become increasingly relevant over time. Any old SSD is a good option for storing and running backward compatibility games on Xbox Series X. Digital Foundry's extensive breakdown is embedded above, but the gist of it is that the Xbox Series X's expensive proprietary NVMe SSD doesn't offer much of an advantage over the SATA SSD when it comes to the backward compatibility library. We're talking load speed differentials of around 1 second. So what that means is that the old types, well, not old, but I would say the regular SSDs that exist already, that you can plug with a USB onto your Xbox Series X, you can still use, and it's not really that big of a difference for backward compatibility games. So games from Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox 360, Xbox games. So old generation games that you want to download and play on your Xbox Series X console, you can do that from a regular SATA SSD. So a regular SSD that's not specifically the proprietary SSD for the Xbox. So basically, so the Xbox's SSD, the proprietary one, it's built this way, and this is actually a better picture, because it optimizes. It's connected so that when you plug it in, it connects directly to the internal SSD that it has already built in, and it feeds off of each other and basically gives it more power to run better the games and stuff that you have stored on it. So it doesn't matter if it's stored here or stored in the internal one, it'll still run the games just as fast because it's connecting both of them together to make a bigger SSD, if that makes sense. Whereas if you plug a SSD here into the USB, it's still going to do the same thing, but it's not connected directly to the internal SSD, so it's going to run a little bit slower than that. Now, it's okay for older generation games, but for the newer games, you're going to want to run them either out of your internal SSD or the compatible external SSD, because both of them are going to basically make it so that it optimizes the speed and power of the next generation of new consoles. So it's going to look and play better and load faster than if you're playing it off of a USB SSD from the older generation, right? So basically that's what this article is saying, right? So any backward compatible titles, they don't really make use of the velocity architecture that Microsoft has in the Xbox. So it doesn't matter if you have an old SSD or the new one, the proprietary one, whatever old generation game that you're running on the Xbox Series X, it's going to be running more or less by maybe 1 second difference as compared to the new console, the new generation games. It's definitely going to be you need it on the on the internal SSD or the proprietary one to run as fast and as smooth as possible. That's basically what it's saying. All right, so it's not all that bad. But yes, that's basically all I have to say today about storage. Hopefully it works out, and like I said, by the beginning of next year, ending of this year, beginning of next year, we'll have cheaper storage, more affordable storage. Maybe there'll be even some deals on storage for PlayStations or Xbox Series X's. So yeah, I would say right now, luckily there are not that many games, I would say, for at least new games that we could play on the new consoles. So there's that. You could save memory that way, or you could do what people have been doing, which is basically just downloading your games off of your console and onto an external hard drive or SSD, and then just running the new games that you install into your internal memory on your PlayStation or Xbox and playing it off of there. That's pretty much all that you can do until hopefully these storage devices become more affordable. And hey, if you can afford it, more power to you. That's great. But yeah, that's basically what it is. All right. I hope this useless skill's been useful for you. See you next time.